Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another recap review of Raising Kanan Season 3. It's your boy Lucas here with my guy Najir. What is going on this evening, my brother?
What's up, my dude? Tomorrow's my birthday, so I'm ready to go crazy with my bottle of water right here today, because I ain't even about to act up until it's officially the day of January 20th. But now we here, we ready to rock, ready to have some fun, and talk about this episode.
So would a party look like the jump that Ronnie threw? Are we gonna get all the old heads that's gonna come through, all the ex dealers in DC? Who we could get? Can we? Well, Rayful, I mean, he's out but not out, and no one knows if he's out. I'm trying to think of other people like we can get involved. Other people we can get involved in this shindig to throw this big 30th birthday celebration. You know, we trying to do it. We're trying to do it real big here at Big Gold Belt. Like all the DC podcasts is gonna be in attendance. All the New York ones too. We invite everybody.
Hey, did you feel judged when Juke was talking about all the old heads? I was like, damn, them dudes the same age. Okay.
Yeah. But Juke 18. I mean,
I
a
know,
28-year-old old head to her. So
exactly.
Like, he can't offend me. Like you a baby to me. Like I'm good with that.
I felt so offended. I was just like, they're not even old. I was okay, Juke. Okay.
She is 18. You already know how that goes. You know, she looking at anybody born in the 1900s, as the new kids say nowadays, as you gotta be old. You ain't got no choice. But here we are, episode 7. This one is titled We're All Guilty. It is written by Brian Walker and directed by the man Sascha Penn. As we talked about it last week when we said the way these last episodes line up, it is nothing but heavy hitters in every episode. So you know you're either going to get some big reveals or huge consequences for things. And start off the way this episode starts off here with Ronnie,
who's not Breeze.
Hey, look, eventually we're gonna have to have conversations about who you all think these people are. Y'all already had Aisha already being Sean's mama, and that just completely been blown up already. Y'all are moving so quick to try to discover some shit, and like, yeah, just wait, just wait a little bit here until we get to these people. But we get Ronnie as he and his goons are harassing Paul. They take him to Kanan, and here we have a conversation that they're not happy with Paul telling them they were going to call the cops on him in last episode. What do you think about not necessarily what they did to Paul, but this relationship as it's shown here early on between Kanan and Ronnie?
It is a little confusing because Michael Myers do not have goons. He operates solo. So this new development is the reason why the last Halloween movie wasn't good, because the moment that Michael Myers tried to like offset his demon powers to this other new protege, people was like, oh, this shit sucks. And I don't know if this is what's happening here, but I'm confused about Ronnie, who clearly was a leader.
Yeah.
But taking a backseat to the kid. And I know you mentioned about the potential of him grooming him, and you know he's looking at him like his little brother. But if that's the case, then what's no different than him sticking with Neek at this point? Like, I don't know. So it's a little early for me to truly see, and maybe others, yourself or the fans may see something. But for me, I'm kind of like, this is an interesting role. Like, you know, certain players on teams aren't sitting on the bench. And Ronnie, it gives me that whole, you know, even Mello. It's like you put Mello on any team, my man's like, I'm starting. I don't care what my points are. Then like I'm starting. And in Russ book at a point too, you said like, I know you had a down season, but I'm starting on whatever team I'm gonna go on. Finally got him to come off the bench, but Ronnie did not seem like a bench player here or a 6-man. He seems like the person that, if I'm going to want things to be back the way I wanted it to be and talk about the old times, then I'm up front. And it's, I don't know, the dynamic is a little bit of a question mark right now. And the goons coming out of nowhere. I was like, damn, now Ronnie got muscle? Like, where'd that come from? The other thing that's kind of interesting is you got 2 other folks that trust you. Where did they come from? I need to know a little bit more about them, because The way how Ronnie moves, the way he operates, he gives me the solo wild bull in the China shop mentality that doesn't have anybody around him. He's reckless. He doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't seem to have much of a friendly, welcoming presence to have friends. So who the hell are these dudes and why? So everything about Ronnie in this episode was a little bit, I'm not sure.
You're touching on it, because that's my issue here. We've gone 6 episodes and may have heard a total of 20 words from Ronnie. He literally spoke at least 48 words in this episode. And the more and more he spoke, the less and less I became threatened by him, because I'm like, oh, you don't think properly. Like, not saying like you're slow, but I'm saying like, oh, like if this is your full mentality, how did you ever run anything? Because it makes no sense on the way when they get him to talk more, it just reveals more and more issues with him. And here at the beginning was a huge like, huh? Like, why wouldn't Ronnie have just kicked in his door and dragged him out? He literally done that to everybody else. But to this white man, you need 2 other big goons with you that we don't know. It's no explanation of who they came from, why they're there. Is it because you're expanding the business? And did you just magically manage to pick up goons? Do they like, are they sold at like a shop? And you be like, well, give me 2 of the black ones. Let them come with me and we can run this. Like, it just didn't fully make sense here. But beyond that, the full trust that Kanan all of a sudden has into him. That's what I want to talk about, because that's what it seems in this scene more than anything else, is Kanan now has complete trust in Ronnie, which also makes no sense, because that's like, you would think someone who grew up in the business, around people in the business, you would know not to trust people so fast.
Well, Juke called it out.
He's trusted Ronnie in like 2
blind.
weeks.
Blind faith. And Juke called it out. And I'm glad that the conversation with Juke happened later to save us a lot of discussion and argument with anybody that's going to say we don't know what we're talking about, because a lot of people are projecting about the adult Kanan we know. I don't know how many times we got to say this. And again, it's not because we're fans, and it's not because we even do these recaps, but the showrunner himself, they are not rushing to get to the finish line. So he's not in a huge urge to show you the adult Kanan just yet. There's a lot that gets to that point. Yes, you're going to see sprinkles of it. Sure, there's common traits amongst everybody in certain things. So sure, you're going to see common traits of young Kanan to old Kanan. But understand that, like, this whole, like, this is why he's the way he is right now. We're not seeing that just yet with Kanan. There's been way more time on that with Juke. And we still haven't even got to the ticking point with Juke yet. So just understand that, like, they're in no rush to get to the point of, like, this is why Kanan is a savage, and this is why he killed Juke, and this is why him and Juke aren't on the same page. Yeah, I know y'all mentioned that last week. Somebody said, like, this is why we can understand why Kanan did what he did to her. No, not to me. And even in this episode, you can say, like, maybe a disagreement, but they're cousins. Damn, they're brothers and sisters.
They're brother and sister. They are brother and sister. They're going to fight and disagree. Not only that, I mean, I know in the original Power series, we act like Kanan was a complete savage, but everything he did was based solely off of his emotion. He didn't really think out a lot of things. It was off of emotion. He killed Juke because of his emotion. He let what happened with him
and love for Tariq too,
because of his emotion. Like, all of it is emotional. We know that at one point in time, when they get older, that Tasha and Ghost turned on him. It was based off of emotion. Like, that's like, how much of a savage is he actually? And are we instead seeing the true person that he is here growing up? That's it. Like, I understand we want to rush because you know where this ends at. But damn it, if I'm telling a story, that don't mean I got to give you everything already. How many years I have before we get to that point?
I just keep having to remind folks, if you were operating a show and they were like, hey, we'll let you do the show as long as you're pulling in good ratings, got story to tell, why would you take a bag from yourself by saying, all right, cool, so I'm gonna do one season of him at 18, the next season he'll be 25, and then after that he'll be back to his age as an adult? And then how much of the adult story can you tell because he was in jail? So
exactly. That's why you're not rushing to it. There's no need to. Young Tasha and young Ghost screwed Kanan over, not old Tasha and old Ghost. So then he went to jail. There's no need to even talk about it then. No, only us Black folks with our shows that we absolutely love want to rush to a conclusion. Young Sheldon went on for 8 damn years and we never got to the point of Big Bang Theory. Y'all on season 3, 2.5 seasons in, y'all like, nah, we gotta hurry up and get the game.
Y'all done said we had cameos of Ghost, Tommy, and Ronnie's Breeze. So I mean, and granted, if somehow, some way Ronnie becomes Breeze, which is not something I'm going to put on my FanDuel, it'll be people pleasing at that point. It would literally be people pleasing. There's no point, or there's no reason for that character to be Breeze when they could just introduce somebody who just truly is Breeze off the break. Matter of fact, think about this: if you in this end of this season, say Ronnie and all the Ronnie operations and Papa Snap, say they go back to jail, Ronnie goes away, you have a complete space for a whole nother villain. The Mafia is always going to be there because that's just what the Mafia is. So, you know, it's no eliminating them.
Yeah.
So that leaves you another black dealer to emerge from out of the shadows to become this Breeze that everybody wants. But at the same time, you got to think when Breeze was introduced. I have no clue. But you also have to think like Ghost and Tommy has to come immediately after that because they all was under his tutelage. So.
And then we have to realize that Ghost and Tommy don't show up till around 94, 95. We are in 91. Why are we rushing things? Stop rushing. You have years to go before that introduction is even necessary. But you know, I digress because
let's not want to say too. It's like, and also like by Kanan and his trust, he's young. He's young, and I think all of us remember that one time when we got that measure of approval from somebody older, whether it's a family member or whether somebody in the block, or whether you were in school, you were in 9th grade and a 12th grader took you under their wing and you didn't know what the hell you were doing, but you felt put on because you was around them. And that's what's happening with Kanan. And y'all can say what all y'all want about Kanan and his drug dealer mentalities and skills and knowledge and so on. Juke called it out exactly what it is. You are a young boy still trying to please your mom. You ain't no gangster, my homie. And that's just the truth.
Not even close to one.
Yep. And Famous, he got that realization too, because he thought he was out here being the man. And yeah, he was very reluctant about wanting to be a part of the business, but don't let them rhymes that he was talking about fool you. Like he wasn't thinking he was really about that life just to get back to his mom crib and realize like, damn, I made a lot of mistakes. AKA everything that I did after I left here was a mistake because I thought I was somebody I wasn't. So listen to Juke. That's the real narrator of this episode.
Hey, I'm about to say, she tells you everything you need to know in this episode. But next up is Rock meeting with the newly established Connect that Unique had before he passed away. I'm trying my best not to call them the Asian Connect because I don't know who they are, but they are Asian, and Quan. I don't want to sound racist. Wong?
No, Quan, and he's Vietnamese.
I made it even worse.
He's the Vietnamese
Asian. They are all of Asian descent. I leave it at that. I'm not like singling out anybody here, but they have a conversation with Unique gone of Rock wanting to take over again. What I'm asking here, because their conversation was interesting from the perspective of him saying, this is not anything like you've had to do before. We're not just some simple beaner who is packing drugs and people bringing them over. This operation is way more complicated than what you're accustomed to. What do you think this is possibly setting up here with Rock? Because she already works for Stefano. So here you're kind of working for someone else all over again, especially since he's saying you're not getting this off consignment. You got to come to me with money and prepare to buy up front.
I don't know. I mean, this is what she does, is her bread and butter. So I think we're looking at her juggle multiple connects in a way that it works. I think this, if anything, I think what I take from this is that we're going to see how she's more superior at this than Unique, and maybe everybody else is around. I think we saw her fail miserably for 6 episodes in terms of being out of the life. I mean, it's just hilarious that, and shout out to my man
Beauty Shop.
Yeah. Listen, shout out to my man Lamont and
B.
Brandon
Avery.
and B. Avery,
Yeah.
man. Listen, I love and one of them said it, so we just give a shout out to both of them, and they do amazing work. Y'all already know the team over at Just My Opinion, so y'all show them love weekly too. I want to say it was Lamont, but either way, one body said, like, how did she ever think she was going to be a landlord and she quit because there was this one pipe burst
But
and she just washed her hands. He said that's what being a landlord is fixing things, and she let one thing happen and she washed her hands with it, which is hilarious. But I think that is kind of what they've been trying to build this season, maybe, is that Rock, who no one believed, even she didn't believe by way of her own monologue at last week of, she knew she couldn't do anything but be a drug dealer. So we spent 6 episodes of her trying to be outside the life, and now we're going to just show how efficient she is being in it. So you're going to see her work with the mafia, see her work with the, and matter of fact, not just with the, but take all of Unique's properties, so to say, or deals, and run that flawlessly. I think that's what I take from it. I don't think, as of right now, I don't see any issues why one person would say, hey, you're working with them, so I'm not working with you, or whatever. It's just going to be a matter of her being able to bring money to everybody and do what she do.
Yeah, I mean, because once Unique ran both of them at the same time. Because he had a deal with Stefano and a deal with the Vietnamese also. So, but what we still have not seen yet is exactly what that deal with Stefano brings in. Like here, we get clear cut what she's getting from the Vietnamese connect. Like we know the work, we understand the risk, and then later on, we see a plan that sounds unstoppable if it's perfected right. But with Stefano, we still haven't seen anything yet, and that's why I'm wondering more or less, like, is that going to come to fruition whenever this big battle that we clearly see looming? Because Ronnie has to know. Or Ronnie thought he was going to take over everything Unique had.
Or did he just not care because he never valued it in the first place? I was thinking about that too. Would that be a measure of contention?
I thought he just didn't value the carry-out portion of it. But
but he also didn't.
Portions.
He didn't know about the Vietnamese portion, so that's just kind of out of it. That's the one thing Unique didn't tell him when he was like, "I know that there's more." Well, the carry-out, Ronnie knew. But after the carry-out, I'm not working with these yellows. I know you got more. Where's the heroin? Because the viewers, as we know, he had the other deal with the Vietnamese too. So these are him working with the Chinese, him working with the Vietnamese, him having the Italians in his pocket as well too. So Rock has now claimed all three of those. Ronnie was only aware of the Chinese one where he didn't value. He was not aware of the Vietnamese
too. Wait a minute. I thought they were Vietnamese too. They connected. Like Unique got them through him. Like they set up the carry-out deal for him.
Sure, but you remember that they had that conversation about how we're not.
Yep. We're not Chinese. Yeah, they don't like us.
And they look at it, and it's the same thing with the Empower Force when we was talking about the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans, about how they look down on us because of this, and it's just like,
but I know that part. I'm just learning.
Yeah, and it's a same
Asian beef.
Same thing here, and I mean, even when you look at how the operations are kind of done, things give you this certain level of one feeling like they're better than one another. And granted, they are. Man, listen, if there was just a measure of the Asians deciding to work collectively, there could be some real powerful things happening in the world.
Hey, that all they would have to do would be agree, but they can't. Which it's a benefit to everyone else is that they cannot come to terms to agree with one another.
Yeah, no disrespect to like any type of like, no disrespect to any type of like, conflicts amongst the nations or whatnot, but just in respect to drug dealing, the mafia collectively work together. The Italian mafia work collectively together. The Mexican cartel collectively works together, and that's why the longevity of these groupings have passed through many generations, and they still operate right now because they are collectively working together. And you say if the Asians had any type of correlations, except for like the Sascha, what's it called, the Japanese folks that whatever, except for them, but like if collectively if they were all on the same,
then they don't mess with the Chinese or the Vietnamese either.
Like, bingo,
no, we're above you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I preach all that to say that understanding that Rock coming in, playing the middleman between all of them, works when there's business and money to be made. Detrimental if there's a flaw in this, because there's already heat and hatred between them, much like Force, where we saw Tommy being the liaison between the Puerto Ricans and the Mexicans. And the first thing they said, well, if you're making us money, then we're in. The moment that you're not making us money, there's going to be a problem. So it's the same styling of agreements going on here, just not with the major threat. So you talk about the war coming. Well, right now, Rock is playing duct tape, and we'll see what happens.
The war is on her side, because right now she's building an army. Because eventually, if she makes you enough money, you know what you're not gonna do? Take her out. Like she is not a piece you can move if she makes enough money. But next up, again, this is a short scene.
Yakuza.
Again,
there we go. I was like, Yakuza. What's the Japanese? Yakuza.
Yeah. Next up, short scene of Kanan again using Ronnie as his muscle, as he gets him to intimidate Famous for no apparent reason.
Listen,
it's for fun at this point.
Listen. Now, it is my birthday tomorrow, so I will appreciate all super chats so I can utilize this money for my drinking habits, and Lou will have to come with me.
But on water and kombucha. Now, don't do that to me, damn it.
Now, listen. If you all do have it in your hearts, please, instead of donating to me, please donate to my man Famous, because I have never seen this level of abuse happen for somebody who apartment it is, and just the vast amount of disrespect that is happening is wild.
Oh no! I'll give you one much worse than Famous, and it happened in this episode. Much worse than Famous.
But I listen, on my power bingo card, I know we're all waiting for Ronnie and Rock meeting, and they're definitely building that up. I guess I did not foresee, and sure, if I had thought back, of course it's going to happen, but I had not anticipated the Ronnie and Famous interaction. That was going to be so damn good.
He literally said, "Why does your mother love you so much?"
Oh my God.
What? He's like, "Cause I'm her son? My mother don't love me and I'm her son." Like, this is what I mean by not allowing Ronnie to speak. Just stand there and be intimidated.
Antonio Ortiz with the most purest and most genuine reaction to that. He's like, because that's exactly what I would say, because I'm her son? Like, what?
It is the dumbest question in the world, but it fits Ronnie. Like, just how unhinged she is, that he would literally ask him, "Why does your mother love you so much? Why does she miss you so much, nigga?" What? Like, nigga, that's not even a logical question to ask. But again, this is another scene of just Kanan using him as muscle, because Kanan didn't have to do that. He just did it for fun.
And so I don't know what I want to say on this, but all I know is, like, for all my DMV folks here, we're gonna drop some DMV lingo for you real quick. But Kanan's a Bama, straight up. I have never seen somebody because they're boys, and like they had minor disagreements. I'm sure Kanan's in his feelings about the gun being in his bag and Famous not telling him, but Famous did hold it down when he got locked up off of Kanan's operation. He didn't snitch, could have easily did that. He stayed loyal to him, and even Kanan even said like he keeps it close for the most part. Well, sure, that's good enough in this rate, because you know that Famous is a liability. Came off the drugs, by the way. Got you a place, by the way, that you just decided to crash into. Like,
with no issue. Like, you my man. Yeah, of course you can stay with me. And then you put me out of my place?
Like, he literally was like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm looking behind my shoulder like, this my place, nigga. Like, what are you talking about? I'm confused. I've never been so baffled about the vast amount of disrespect about my man coming back to his place and Ronnie eating cereal, which is funny because it's just like, Famous don't have groceries, so now y'all stocked up his place, and now he can't even come in and eat. It's wild out here.
Super comfortable on my couch eating cereal that I didn't pay for. Like, it's just so disrespectful. Again, we see it worse later on in this episode between Ronnie and Vanessa, of him putting her out her own house.
I mean, I can't even believe. Yeah, he just kicking everybody out. I mean, my man is literally no respect for nobody's property. So, but my question to you, because I'm talking so much about it, how would you have to describe Kanan's and Famous relationship to this point? Because I'm just having a hard time just really making sense of that. I'm not saying that this is flawed in anything. I'm just saying that like they built up so much in terms of the camaraderie of one of them, and both of them had their issues and whatnot. And now Kanan got his guy Ronnie. He's just completely cold to Famous. Famous was nervous too. I mean, Famous, I don't know what he was contemplating there. Like, did he think he was going to get killed? Did he think he was going to get beat up? I mean, he knew like the friendship was definitely done at that point. You could kind of tell by the emotions in his responses. But like, how could Kanan just all of a sudden be so cold to him out of nowhere? The business doesn't warrant that. It just doesn't make sense.
A perfect analogy to use for me in this situation, and this is excluding everything with that whole scene with Ronnie. That was just Kanan being petty. It's equivalent to when you're in a relationship with someone and you have a bad day, a bad mood, or you're pissed off at someone else. You dump on the person who you know is the easiest person to do it to. And that's what Kanan is doing to Famous. Famous is Kanan's punching bag. Kanan is still just mad at Rock. Everything is Rock's fault, but he's offloading on Famous because Famous is easy to offload on. Like, Famous is his boy, Famous is his brother. Like, you're always going to be there for me. I can offload on you. I can treat you like shit because I'm mad because of what's going on with my mother. It's equivalent of you being with somebody and your girl have a bad day at work, and all of a sudden you get the biggest attitude in the world, and you're like, wait, what? I didn't do anything. Why are you mad at me? Like, this has nothing to do with me. And that's how Famous's approach to Kanan is. This has nothing to do with me. Why are you so mad at me? Literally, your mama put that gun in the bag. Your mama has done all of this, not me. And then you trying to put me in between you and your mother. That's not fair to me. And that's what Kanan is doing. So he is just offloading on Famous. Famous is his punching bag right now because he can't do that to anyone else he's close to. We saw the confrontation between him and Juke. Juke will never be his punching bag under any circumstance, but Famous can be because he understands Famous is soft enough to do it too. That's the correlation there. It's a fucked up way of doing things. And using DC lingo, he a Bama. Because that's what that takes. Like, you got to be a cold Bama because you picking on someone who you know is not going to fight back. Yeah. Like, Famous is of no threat to Kanan in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and he knows it. So that's why he's doing that to him.
And I know somebody's going to say this in the comments, so I'll just say it. But, like, Kanan, he picked the right one. Because he wasn't going to try that with anybody else. He wasn't try. He damn sure wasn't going to try that on Juke.
You saw what happened with Juke, with all of them around. Juke was talking shit about Ronnie while he was in the room with Kanan. Juke did not care one bit, because ain't no fear in her heart. Famous is timid. It's nothing but fear because he's not built for that lifestyle. He was just your boy who was always your ride or die. That's why some friends ain't meant to live or be a part of certain things in your life. And you got to know that. So that's the messed up part. But next up is Howard meeting with the task force as they're talking about Marvin and his possible connects and him possibly running a lot of things. And before we get to the other big part of this scene, I'm going to ask you just strictly here about Marvin and the task force. Did you find it odd that Howard started agreeing with them about certain things about Marvin? Like, he was trying to put things on Marvin.
No, I'm glad he played it fair because he's been denial about anybody else that they brought up before. So I'm glad they did. Kind of looking at how he was kind of like, couldn't be him. It's Crown only. And the fact that they're fishing around, I thought if you truly want to have a level of unbiased in terms of things, because they're picking up on everybody. I mean, it's the task force. And as they said, we can't tell you anything because we have multiple people, suspects, which you've kind of been saying you think they're still on to Howard to some point, some extent. Oh, definitely. And I think he's aware of it too. So like he has to at some point play fair to the evidence that's being presented here. And that's all. I'm glad that they went about it that way. I don't feel like he wanted to make it Marvin, but I think he still wants to be anybody but himself, obviously. But I think he does still need to do like normal policing and not this bad cop, dirty cop everything.
I just thought that because, and we'll get to it later on, the conversation between him and Rock, and what he excluded to tell Rock, almost told me he wants to push this on Marvin. Because other than that, there'll be no reason not to tell Rock everything that happened in that conversation, because they talk about everything any damn way. But right during that conversation, we see Scrap's mother come into the precinct, and she's talked to, was it Detective Proctor? I want to say that was his name. I don't know.
Whatever his name was.
Another detective, because that's the first time he's ever been brought up. But supposedly he's been the one who she's talked to this entire time. But Howard manages to flip the task force and say, oh, nah, he knows everything about the streets. Let me bring him in here and I can take care of this. Understand that he needed to intervene on anything to do with Scrap. What did you think about just this setup here? Because this is to me the Howard that we're missing a lot of this season. We saw this in season 1 and season 2 a lot, of him knowing how to balance and knowing how to play the game. He's been playing defense this entire season. This is the first time we saw Howard on offense here to get the information he needed to get.
Agreed. That's my comment. Agreed. Totally agree. Good to see it too, because like more Omar is always good for the show.
And as we always pull up, he's been playing the background a lot as a character. And I just feel it's from reveals this episode that should tell you why he's playing the background, but when he comes to the forefront, it's not going to be good for anybody. That's what it looks like to me. Next up, we get Gerald using again, because that's what crackheads do. They just use as much as humanly possible. More impressive of Gerald to me is being a responsible dad in a way, and a crackhead, of putting your daughters out of your new crack bin house and having them wait in the car until you finish smoking your crack, which also is not a good dad, because if you pass out after you smoke crack like most people do, your kids are out in the damn car and screwed.
Definitely thought that was going to happen. I did not expect for him to open up the door. I was like, oh, there's something you don't see every day.
Yeah, exactly. But again, Marvin arrives to save the day, and I'll just focus here because I don't want to talk too much about Marvin and Gerald. It's absolutely no need for it, really, except for magically these kids met Marvin for the first time today, and he's already Uncle Marvin. And
that's how I be. That's how I be. And they probably heard nothing but things about him. So, it's a lot of in and outs in people's lives that get the uncle title. and honestly, I don't even want to laugh at it too, because also that's kind of bad in ways too. You know what I mean? So
that's you met him in rehab. That is not your uncle. That is a nigga I know. You did? Nah. We didn't grow up together. Yeah. We do none of that together for that to be uncle.
As kids, man, they this your uncle, this your cousin, especially black families, bro.
I was about to say, I would, if they were black kids, I probably wouldn't have any pushback. These are white,
my man
Caucasian
Gerald
kids.
Get some clout, man. Them kids gonna change the generation, knowing that they had a black uncle, and they're gonna be boasting about that for years to come. You're gonna be like, listen, my uncle black.
I'm just waiting unless Marvin, something horrible happens to him later on this season. I'm just waiting for when Marvin takes the white kids in and he raises the white girls with Juke as his way of making up for things with Juke. He raises these two white girls.
Oh nah, he not getting the grandmother role, because he's actually trying to intervene in Juke's life. But I feel you though. It would be more wilder if somebody like Rock just somehow someone's like, I got them babies. No, but I know I hope that because not to even focus on Gerald too much, but I hope that if you're going to introduce those kids, we don't want to give them a bad write-off, or I hope Gerald to go be straight and narrow by the end of this, and Marvin be the catalyst.
We already know that.
I know,
but I think Marvin gonna take him in. That's all I think it is. Like, it ain't maybe not even to replace Juke, but just to help raise them, because at that point, Gerald's gonna OD. Like, it's just a matter of time at this point.
Yeah.
And Marvin said the key thing in that kitchen when they were together was when Gerald said, I have nobody. And he said, yes, you do. You have me.
Yeah.
Like, that's him completely stepping up to the plate. And I think he's stepping up because the girls have no one else.
I tell you what, I don't know how many episodes we got for this, but if you do so, Gerald is a completely valuable character witness.
Yes, he is.
He is The moment they say they brought us in and took care of my kids and I was struggling, he's not gonna bring up his addiction, but he said, yeah, I mean, he could, because I mean they were in AA. So I mean, this
he's a prominent newspaper. He could talk about his addiction.
Maybe
how
that's
this
what it
man
is.
stepped up, got clean, and helped take care of my kids and take care of me whenever I needed him. He showed up.
Yep.
You can go get some of the circumstantial evidence that the cops are going to have against him.
Yeah.
Now, next up is just something simple, nothing to talk about. This is Famous moving back home to his mom, telling her, like, I regret everything, and I'm no gangster. I shouldn't have done any of that. Next up is
Pebbles. Mama boy, we're gonna take her baby back. she is ready to cook right away. Love it.
No questions asked either. She like, I should have never put you out. Mama, you put him out to the wolves, and one of them was named Kanan. And he'd have kicked him out of his apartment and did everything else. So, and Mama like, baby, come back home. You
come back to baby. His sister gonna be back too. That's the biggest boomerang in all of this. Huh?
I thought she was dead.
Nah, Zisa wasn't his sister. His sister went to Cali.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They look alike. Man, I just
it's light skin. That's all. Just light skin. And petite.
I'm gonna let you slide because neither one of those women were black. But next up is Pebbles, as she's broken the deal for the girls to open up for Shanice. I know I got hyped because they were playing her song, and I don't hear Shanice's music that much anymore. And yes, I'm old, and yes, I love her music. But the key part here to me is the setup of this music thing with Juke, and then the following scene with Juke of her going to see the Army recruiter. So she is still 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and haven't made up her mind which path she needs to go down here. I think we kind of know what path she ends up taking just because of where she ends up at. But what do you think? Just think about this tug of war with Juke right now, of her fighting from living her dream to her feeling she needs to do something to make a living.
Responsibilities. She's maturing right before our eyes here. So I'm not mad at it at all. Not that I ever had interest in joining the military, but if I had sort of just this sort of mindset of responsibilities, then I think I wouldn't have just instantly went to college. I think I would have said, what are all of my choices, and allow that to kind of lead to what I wanted to decide. I went to college because that's what everybody said to do. And I think Juke is battling between what's my options. Obviously, academically, she's doing good. And with everybody shutting the door in her face, she's still stepping out there trying to figure out what's best for her. So she got the music thing kind of going in the right direction. I mean, it looks like, it's tough coaching going on here, but she's definitely in the right direction. So like easily she can be the next big star. And we know in this era, even in this fictional part of this era, we know that girl groups were definitely banging, and they're right there. They're right there. However you want to look at it, whether they're about to get lured into a 360 deal or not, they're right there.
No, 360s didn't exist back then. Back then, Pebbles just gave you 1 cent off of every album you sold. Like, she didn't care about your touring money.
Or Blood In, Blood Out, because I know that one existed back then. So
definitely. Definitely. We're going to sign you to this 99 album deal here. So once you get to 99 albums, you'll be able you'll be good to go. We'll still own all your masters though.
Publishing, I'm not sure about that, brother, but we'll cross that line when we do. But I just think it's truly responsible for her to do so. And I think as 18-year-olds, I didn't have it, and a lot of us probably didn't. This newer generation probably gets it because they're more or less banking on their talents and their passions, where we were put into sort of a system in terms of these are the things you should do. So do these things: high school, college, athlete, NFL, NBA.
Healthy balance between the two. Don't bank too much on what you believe is your talent, because you kind of forget that it's a lot of people with your talent in the world. But you also don't want to just blindly put yourself in debt to go to school to get a communications degree or something. Like you got to be aware of what are your options. I did like when the recruiter was talking to Juke and going through the different jobs that she could be in the armed services, and one of them was playing with people's minds. And Juke perked up immediately with that one. Like,
Yeah.
like, what does that entail me doing? Like,
Yeah.
that, if people were looking to foreshadowing of the future of Juke, that was one of the few times I said, there you go. That's part of the
Yeah.
foreshadowing of it, to let you
Yeah.
understand that's possibly the angle she did take, because Juke, and the adult Juke, did that a lot. She understood how people worked. She understood how people thought and how to use that against them. And that's possibly something she learned in the armed services. But next up is
Yeah,
a
but
big meeting
no, I'm
between
sorry.
what?
Let me just close out the thought real quick and just say that, like, yeah, and I think like for us, we've been pro Juke this entire season and wanting to see her get
Oh, yeah.
wins, and a lot of the wins are things we're kind of looking at it in terms of a reward standpoint, but like gathering everything that she's been through, the abuse,
Yep.
you know, the loss, she still continues to be resilient, and seeing her taking control of her fate in terms of what she wants to do going forward without any persuasion or influence from anybody else but herself is damn near powerful at a young age, however you want to look at it. And granted, she easily could say, I'll get in the drug game. My whole family do it. She's aware of it. She's aware of it because she knows everybody in the entire city who does it. So it's not like she doesn't know how to do it. Let's not forget she was stealing clothes. She could easily get back to that. You know, she easily can say, I'm riding this music thing.
Before we knew what scammers truly were.
Bingo, absolutely. Or coast it easy. My father got the money. I'll just take everything that he wants to give me. She literally can do so many other things than what she's actually doing. And I think that's like a win that should be recognized for everything that she's been through.
Yes. Next up, we get the meeting between Rock and Howard, as Howard tells Rock that Lulu is the one who told Scrap's mom that he killed her, that he killed him, and that Howard had to intervene in it. And Rock brings up the most important factor of it up. The only reason you intervene, because your hands are dirty with Scrap too. Like, it's not just ours, it's yours too. But the more interesting part is when she asked about the task force, and she asked Howard, are they onto anybody? And Howard said no, even though he just sat in the meeting where they literally told him, we are on Marvin. What did you think? One, about this quick conversation about Scrap and them, and Rock pinpointing to him also, like, I have dirt on you too. This is a situation where you looking out for all of us. And with the task force, of him not telling her the task force is on Marvin.
Because maybe, I mean, I think he should have told her, but maybe he didn't look at it as a big deal, because maybe he looks at, maybe I mitigated that. Because they said we don't really have anything on him. He's just a name that popped up that we had questions about, and he referred to him and said, like, yeah, you know, he's not really doing anything. I mean, everybody knows he's tough and whatnot and whatever, but like nothing much. I would even say, as far as the task force conversation with Howard, that I didn't feel a level of suspicion that they had enough to go on Howard. And I appreciate that, because in power shows, we seem to have these things where cops have the smallest amount of anything, and then they send the whole troops to them. Or they do this thing where they're fixated on one particular character when they have more evidence on other characters, i.e. Tommy. So like, I love the fact that they bring it up and then they kind of let it marinate right now. So yeah, he still should have told Rock, but I don't think there's needs for a reaction right now, because I think if you tell Rock, and it's not that Howard would have known this, but if you tell Rock, she overreacts, because then she starts to question, what is Marvin doing that got him all in the face of things, you know?
Well, yeah, because she doesn't necessarily know everything about Tony, which is the only reason that Marvin's on their radar. Because but also Marvin pulled off a hit for Stefano. They literally connected the mob and him. So I would just assume that is something Rock actually needs to know.
Yeah.
Because at that point, she actually needs to protect Marvin. Be like, wait. Because if they already connected him to the Italians, and I'm having you work with me with them, all it's going to do is put you more on their radar. Because if they ever take pictures of the ones who they know are mobsters and Marvin's anywhere around, immediately it becomes super high. He immediately becomes their number one target. Right now, it seems like they're fishing, but they said an interesting thing to Howard when they were talking in that meeting was, communication is a one-way street. We're only telling you the stuff we need you to know. But that means that we have other information we are not telling you right now because we don't know essential if we can trust you.
Yeah.
So I just found it odd that he completely brushed that off of not telling Rock, by the way, Marvin's on their radar. And maybe you need to tell him to lay low or anything of that nature. Because I felt during that meeting, it kind of felt like Howard was trying to put them on Marvin or make it where they definitely don't eliminate Marvin.
I wasn't really picking up on that, but I'm definitely got intentions on watching that scene again just to see if I sort of mustered those feelings, because like I definitely just felt like he was just keeping it unbiased from once, because you know any other time when somebody's questioned, he was his only crown, and maybe that he felt wasn't working, so it's kind of bringing back more attention to him. So in this case, I don't think directly putting it into Marvin, but I think he's definitely not putting it on himself. He's just like, or trying to clear himself, should I say, which has easily been a motivation before. Maybe the motivation has changed. Maybe he's trying to not clear himself, but more or less trying to keep himself involved to know as much as he can. That's the offense-defense conversation I think you're having.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. We know he's doing that by him trying to be on narcotics because they have to partner with the task force. So it gives him more information. I'm just wondering, are we going to get to the point where he basically tells Rock, someone's going to have to go down for this?
Yeah.
Marvin's almost an easy person to bring down for it.
Man, could that be the story of Rock and her ruthlessness, that she puts it on one of her brothers? And that's the question. And who would it be? Me knowing Power, that's a whole season arc. And that's also marketing too. Like with their posters, kind of how Tariq with Ghost, and they kind of decide whose side he's going to be on and whatnot. Could that be the marketing for next season? Of Rock happened to put it on one of her brothers, who will it be?
Well, I mean, at this point, if it was Lou, I don't think anyone would bat an eye at it. Because clearly them two don't get along at all. She literally told Marvin, you better get your brother like this episode. Even though I say that to my sisters all the time and my mama. So I understand that. But she literally let you know it's a separation between the two. But next up, something short. So we can breeze through. Nothing important. Just Lou listening to famous song, drinking, going deeper and deeper into the bottle. I don't think there's anything much to talk about there. Next up was after that is Rock and Marvin meeting about the carryouts with the Vietnamese. Here, the only interesting part is while they were terrified to be in this business, they still bring up the same thing. Unique's body has not been found. This is odd. We are now going on probably a month now, and no one knows where this body is at. And they bring up, because of that, they don't want to be in business anymore. Rock tells them there is no way out. And then we get introduced to the uncle who actually owns the carryout. And they bring up the reason he wants to stay in business because he likes the extra income. But then they bring up he owns 20 more carryouts. And this is him and Rock sitting down having a discussion about how to expand the business. What do you think about this conversation of expanding the business through carryouts? And everyone who's ever been in any hood, you know for a fact, if you want to run anything, any illegal anything, you run that shit through a carryout. It is like butter at this point. Well, maybe not now, but back then it definitely was.
Yeah, what's that rock band Green Day? Because I was today years old when I realized, like, that's why every carryout was in the hood, no matter how dangerous that hood is. So I've been thinking to myself, like, why the fuck would this place run a 24-hour carryout in a place that niggas get robbed left and right? It just does not equate to me. But the Old Faithful will be open. My uncle lived down there by the shrimp boat, and there's the carryout over there right by. And I just be thinking to myself, like, every time I come down this area, something wild happening. But I damn sure can ensure that carryout is open every single time at every point of hour. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't give a fuck what they're doing in the back. The wings, they definitely be hitting no matter what. So the service is always, the food quality is always what it's going to be, regardless of what's happening there. But I was definitely like, damn, bro.
To eat anything from the carryout by the strip boat, my brother.
Hey, listen, it's a simple philosophy here. Go hard or go home. If I'm going to get some carryout, I'm going deep, deep, deep into the trenches to ensure that I get that authentic. I'll ask questions later, probably when I get to the Heaven's Gate. But as of right now, we don't have nothing to talk about.
Nigga, I don't even know why it's still. I don't know why it's called a strip boat. Nigga, I've
Not
been
at
in DC
all.
my whole life.
Yeah, not at all. I thought
Ain't
that
a strip in sight.
Yeah, not at all. Maybe I thought maybe like a building design. Maybe it's an old restaurant to be there. I don't know. But regardless, yeah, y'all let me know that one because I'd be Green Day once again. But yeah, it does bring light in terms of how certain operations must run. And so this is the true expansion. Something funny that Unique can never utilize. So it just shows you just how good Rock is, and also how good Rock is because not only is Rock replacing Unique, who they never wanted to do business with because, well, Unique is black, but now you have another black person that's a woman, and she gets the boss meeting. So, yeah, I don't think there's too much to think about this beyond Rock just being the better drug dealer than the Unique, Ronnie. I don't know, everybody else that we've seen, maybe besides Pop and Snap, which, you know, maybe we'll kind of see with I definitely have a comment about that in a little bit, but I think it's just the more or less like we have to continue to put respect on Rock and what she can do and how she operates is what I think all these little scenes mean.
Her second conversation was about expanding and if you own more carryouts. Unique never asked that question. That it was Rock's second question. Is this the only place you own? Like, that tells you right there, her mindset is how much money can we make and how fast can we make it? Like, I am not trying to nickel and dime my way through this shit. And then we get, I just want to bring this up because we're going to talk about this now too, because I want it all in one here. Then we get Rock during surveillance on multiple carryouts to find out how they get their shipments of food, supplies, and everything in. This is it. Unless you are someone who understands the game, you're never going to understand just how smart of a move this is. Because a normal person would take it as, you tell me you got 20 carryouts, that's great. Then let's get into business on all 20 of them. You're not going to think about, let me do surveillance of these places first, because I need to see how they operate. I need to see what comes in, comes out. How can I possibly get things in there that I need to get in there? Then I see as a supply truck that goes around to all these carryouts. So let me go to their office to try to see how their business works. Like, that is a complete boss move. And that's a thinker. That's someone who clearly is already, just like she did with the towers, she's trying to put a system in place where it just prints money. So she no longer has to worry about buying stuff off of consignment. She needs to impress this dude. She also needs to keep the money rolling for Stefano, and she's trying to do it all out of carryouts. Yeah. Which, if you were in DC area before with Bass Liquor Store, which was open 24 hours a day at one point in time, you understand what it means buying drugs from carryouts, because they had a carryout at Bass Liquor, which was a 24-hour liquor store, a carryout attached to it that never sold food. That carryout sold hoes and drugs, never sold food. And it was open 24 hours a day with the liquor store.
Hey, first of all, two questions. Rock does not try to be low-key at all. Just seeing her walk around with a mink is just like, oh, she's gonna get her fashion off one way or another. Like, forget trying to blend in anywhere. She's gonna stand out. Marvin with the comment of, are all your restaurants number 13? I fucking flew out my seat. I was like, is he serious? But like, also I was like, wait, is that a thing? Do an owner own all of them and name them all the same? Could that be the thing?
Have you ever looked up in the carryout you went to and looked at the numbers to see? Because I swear everybody's Seafood Delight is number 7.
Somebody
like,
do
almost everybody's. Yeah, all of them do. They, we don't look at them no more as black folks, because we ain't looking up at the board, and the shit is so dirtied over you can't even read that motherfucker anyway. But if you go down that menu and go down, let me get a number 7. It's almost a Seafood Delight on every menu. It's if you're in the hood, you make it as easy as humanly possible. So no matter what carry, especially him, you go to any carry out, you know exactly what you want. That's the number it is. It's not a thought in the world.
Yeah.
But next up, after that, we get Kanan visiting Juke in the studio. First, we get a little thing with Aisha and Juke in the bathroom. That's telling us she has an eating disorder. I didn't know if it was pregnant, because y'all know how y'all go about her being Sean's mother. But clearly her and Kanan has not done anything, but about her having an eating disorder. And then about Kanan here bonding with Crystal. to Juke's dismay. I don't think it's much to talk about here. The biggest thing was when they start talking about the dealers at the party, and this is I think this may be the first reveal, like exactly who Snaps and Pops is. As Juke brings up, like, oh, they're bank robbers who became drug dealers. Like, those aren't good people. So what did you think about just that conversation? How comfortable Juke is having this conversation around anybody. She just don't care because she don't like any of them. And
I'm sorry, she's having this conversation with, you talking about when she's having this conversation with Rock?
No, she had this conversation first with Aisha, Crystal, Kanan in the studio. When Aisha was like, yeah, when Juke said, are you going back to another party with all them old people? And Kanan was like, man, they not about with your old friends. And Kanan said, those aren't my friends. And then Aisha says, well, I did like them. And she brings up the couple. And Juke says, Snaps and Pop. They were former bank robbers who turned into drug dealers. But I'm pretty sure, and Kanan said, oh, but they're not in that no more. And Aisha says, yeah, because they real old right now. So this was the first reveal, for me at least, that I can remember of us saying exactly how Snaps and Pop got their money and what did they do to establish themselves.
Yeah, okay. So what was the question? I'm sorry, because I'm thinking like, wait, did he reveal them then? But you're right. I'm just taking a quick look at my notes.
About just again, this interaction between Kanan and Juke and how comfortable she is talking to this about this and about this budding thing that we see out of the blue for no apparent reason other than to piss Juke off of Crystal and Kanan.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying she was just comfortable. I mean, she is comfortable, but I don't think that was like a sense of like showing she's comfortable. I think that was more a sense of like, don't think I don't know, leading on to saying I may be quiet on certain things, but if I have to open up my mouth about stuff, just know that I know. So maybe a mild level of intimidation to Kanan because Kanan doing a little bit of flexing in front of her homegirl and thinking he the man. And I'm telling you, man, the story arc between Kanan over the last 2 episodes just really solidifies everything I said about the photo. Soon as he got in that photo, my man does not know how to act. Now he the man. And like, granted, I said it was a level of him being like certified. But damn sure it did boost his ego because he feels like he's stamped now. He feels like he got that level of credential to operate and he know everybody. And Juke is letting him know how little does he know. Because Kanan didn't know that, I assume. Matter of fact, he even said, like, I know who you are, but does he? Does he know everybody that was in the party or is it Juke that really did? And again, Juke does have the age. Who knows if Marvin knew any of these folks and whatever it may be.
Marvin did. Yeah.
But I'm sorry. Yes, Marvin knew, but did Juke know any of these people by way of Marvin? Should I have said? But regardless of what it is,
between him and Rock for sure.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where Juke is just like, don't think I don't know, little homie, but I do. So I think it's a little bit of intimidation, not so much of just being comfortable. I think she's just like, at any time, just know that I know.
I just mean comfortable in the sense where she don't care who's around when she's checking Kanan about stuff. Not comfortable like, oh, we get to talk about drug dealers, but no, she's like, oh no, I can check you in front of anybody. Like it don't matter who's around. Yeah. I'll check you if I need to.
Oh, the utmost confidence. Absolutely.
Yeah. After that, we get just a quick date between Kanan and Aisha. Nothing to talk about there. He got handsy, of course, because he's Kanan and he the man now. So why not do so? But following that is Marvin confronting Lulu about Scrap's mother. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to say this is the first time we've ever seen any physical confrontation between Marvin and Lulu.
It felt like it. Can't confirm it, but Lulu it felt like it.
Lulu seemed shook that this even happened. Because when Marvin jacked him up, he did not look like he was very confident that he could beat Marvin if he needed to.
I mean, at the same time, too, it's kind of like he happy to see his big brother because that's who's been like really putting that battery in his back about the music stuff. So he in there, he off the bottle, the music flowing, he in the studio trying to mix. And he like, oh, my big brother coming through in a whole different demeanor than he was expected. So I'm not sure if he was by way scared, but I think he was definitely like, oh, shit, wait, what's happening? Not to mention, he doesn't even remember anything, which is the squiggly eye emoji.
About how drunk he was. Would he remember anything that he said? because he was out of his mind drunk, and he went and did that. And the point that he blatantly says, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I didn't do any of this. But for Marvin to tell Lulu, you need to clean this up. Now, last episode, it was a lot of blaming Rock for the way Lulu is. Here, this has nothing to do with Rock. Because if Rock had her way, she would probably be killed Lulu for him even having or saying this at all. At least she hinted towards that with Marvin by telling him, you know what will have to happen if he don't fix this. But here is Marvin putting the pressure on him like, no, you have to do this because you backed us all into a corner.
Yeah.
Do you think, how we know this episode ends with Lou, do you think this will damage his relationship now with Marvin?
No. Marvin is the biggest empathy warrior on the entire show. If Gerald can get 1,000 tries.
No. Not meaning that Marvin will be mad. I'm talking about that it will damage Lulu's thoughts of Marvin, because now Marvin made him go kill Scrap's mother. Because what we're seeing is that Lou is not putting a lot of blame on himself here. He's going to put it off on somebody else. You can't put it off on Rock.
Yeah, I still don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Lou's so emotional, so that could go either way. Either he can be like, man, it's my fault. I need to fix it. Or like, yeah, damn, somebody else made me kill somebody else. Or it could just be the third of what Lou should know by way of Marvin's conversation this entire episode is, sir, you need to have just any accountability at this rate, because you out here pointing the finger at everybody has made you done everything. Yep. And the granted, the scrap thing, I'm definitely on Lou's side with that. And I think you weren't, in terms of like, you didn't have to do it if he didn't want to, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, he never says anything that has any level of accountability. He's been pointing the finger at everybody the entire time. And that's what Marvin told him. So I appreciate Big Brother coming through and letting them know what it is. I also love, and I don't know if we're actually at the part yet, but like, I love how Marvin was so carefree about it. He was like, all right, smoke my cigarette now, say what I need to do. And like he said, well, that's that. I think that also has to be as, depicted, that the brothership between the two of them, that like, if he do tell Lou to handle something, Lou does it. Rock tells Marvin to handle something, he does it. It's a strange sibling relationship.
But in the moment Rock tells Lou to do something, it's oh no. God, no, like, you're the devil.
Yeah, I mean, initially it was, but now it's kind of like, the music is playing that sort of toll road before they can actually get to the destination, so, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you get my point.
There you go. Next up, I thought this would be the moment that we get to see my man here, Ronnie, exercise his power contract with the Pilgrim. But instead, after she hits the Halle Berry line of "Make Me Feel Good," but instead we get Vanessa walking into her own house, because I was thrown off that they were at Unique's house and not at her house.
Pernessa is such a, I mean, you don't get more ghetto than that. No wonder why I know her name this entire season. Pernessa.
Look, we have been calling her Unique's baby mother or Unique's girl.
That's fine.
And I said, because
Pernessa is
that other name is, look, I have balance between Vanessa, like it's a difficult name to say, because her daddy was clearly named Percy and her mama was Vanessa, and that's how she came Pernessa. I already know how they did that.
Oh boy.
But here is where Ronnie kicks her out of her own place, tells her to go, but Julliana then puts a different battery in his back of saying,
she's not wrong.
Need to see us together because it's dangerous out there, and you always have to watch out for family, which it's 1,000% true considering that Ronnie just killed or severely wounded his brother. What do you just think about this confrontation between them two, and about what I said was definitely going to happen eventually, and that is Julliana attempting to sleep with Ronnie?
So wow, I don't even get that. And it was, as much as you said it and how awkward I thought it was going to be, they absolutely displayed the utmost awkwardness between the two. And my man Ronnie clearly just It's
He took
very
his
different than
glasses off, so he
Lamar.
was
Lamar
ready.
came home, he wanted to smash everything. This man,
Smashed the
Ronnie,
joint in a
is
burger
just
joint.
Yeah, in the burger joint.
In a
This
burger
man,
joint.
Ronnie, is just, I don't know, like it's just hard to tell, but it was hard. But it's entirely true. And I also think that the perception, there's danger, the perception of the two, the two different races, and what follows with that. I mean, everybody's kind of keeping everybody at arm's length, but for them two to be kind of like mingling is kind of like, all right, well, this doesn't do right for anybody at this rate. Sure, they're trying to work some business, but also Ronnie, it's confusing. What does Ronnie even need her for at this point if he's getting everything from Snaps and Pop?
Remember, he's not though. He's getting his drugs from her. He got funding from Snaps and Pop.
Oh, true. Okay, you're right.
She's his drug connect.
Yeah, and she's getting it from her cousin.
I'm guessing his girlfriend now or something, because ain't no reason for them to be chilling on the couch for drugs. Like, they knew where they was going.
Yeah. And also too, I wonder who she's kind of hinting at in terms of like the issues, like the family issues.
Probably. I mean, her cousin.
Yeah.
Because remember, she's partnering with him without her cousin's knowledge.
No, I know that, but I mean, so she fears her cousin. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah. I knew you was gonna say that, right? I knew you was gonna say that. That's what I wanted you to say. That it's like an alley-oop here, because we're not gonna just act like Julliana ain't this thing. She was hot shit all these other episodes, right? Acting like she was like the what's her name? Blanca.
Griselda Blanco?
Yeah, Griselda Blanca. Griselda? Acting like she's the princess of Colombia at the table now. And all of a sudden now she's like, it's dangerous if they see us from our family. She's got to be top tier, one of the most confusingest characters, and this attempted sex scene only solidifies exactly how awkward the character and confusing the character is.
Because we just don't understand her motives yet. I think that's the key part here. Because it makes no sense. Like, it made no sense to you to go against your cousin to sell Ronnie drugs, unless the move is that you just want Ronnie. Like, that could be the only move here, is that's what she wants. She wants him. It has nothing to do with the business aspects of it. Because other than that, it makes no sense of why you would go to these lengths to protect yourself from your cousin for you doing something that is highly unnecessary for you to do. And I mean, but she went as Pernessa said when she walked into place, like, what? Wait a minute, what's the chick from the bodega doing in here? Like remind everybody, like, Julliana works at the bodega. Like, she's not like this big drug kingpin. Like, what is a girl from the bodega doing in here?
Yeah, that has just killed me when she said that. This is like totally disrespecting her girl. It's like, chick from the bodega doing here. That's all she known as.
But next up, and we're going to focus him all at once since we're coming up on time, and that is Burke's father. I am confused on why we need to see any of this with him, as he arrives at the precinct to pack up her desk, and he talks to Howard about the regrets that he's had about everything that went on with his daughter. As he said, the more I think about it, I come up with a different regret that I have for the way things played out with her. Down to his conversation with Adina. Is that her name right? Yes, I am. As they talk, as he gives her something from Burke's desk that he felt she should have, and how he still blames it on her being obsessed, and Adina telling her, like, I blame me, I blame you, I blame everyone else for what happened to her. What did you think about this arc? It feels like them closing out the arc of Burke here.
I literally said, they better not clear this arc out in this fashion. And this just does Burke no justice. I mean, the bias and no bias. Shanley's work with this character has caught our attention now for 3 seasons, and they easily be killed off in this. And as I asked in the interview, by way of killing an important character also early, the ripple effects that come after it is the reason why they make decisions like this. I'm waiting to feel the ripple effect for a cop being killed. And it's not. And like the father, Captain Burke, and him sort of changing his ways now and trying to hold himself responsible but yet accountable and living in regret. I mean, this is grievance at its purest. So I'm with that. To see the father who's just been a complete dick to her the entire time actually try to figure out ways to change his ways, which is not really what you want afterwards. But like, granted, you start somewhere. And then Adina, who obviously has had a fair share, as she says, in her relationship with Burke, who says, I'm not going down the road of Howard. She did. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm blaming myself. You could blame yourself, and that's it. I was like, and she walks away, and I'm just like, there's no way. If that's the last time we see Adina, I needed just one more scene of them to spark some level of interest or curiosity to leave something open. That felt very much like a closed chapter. We're done with that, and I hate it. I hate it. It should be, there should be more of a payoff with this character right now. So, and I told you, like, since the first episode we did our recap, I said Adina's the character I have my eyes on. Or second episode, because that's when she sort of came into fold of like, would she pick up everything that everything that Burke had done to try to clean her name. And go after Howard, just or try to find the truth. And it's like they're sitting here talking about doing her service and justice, but also kind of like, but the easy route is just blaming ourselves and just letting it go.
Yep.
I'm just,
That's what it comes across as. They completely bought into the suicide angle. And I think this closes that out. So if there's any questions about have they fully accepted that Burke killed herself, this kind of says yes. Like, everyone's accepted it. Like, no one's now questioning it. It could have been possible that she didn't commit suicide. And by Dana saying, I'm not going anywhere near Howard, that means she's automatically telling, I'm not even looking at him. Like, at this point, unfortunately, it feels like this is the end of anything to do with Burke and raising Kanan, which is, again, not the best way to end it, we would assume. We would have wanted a little more, but hey, it happens this way. Next up is Howard as he's brought back into the precinct, and they're talking about his promotion to narcotics. What's interesting here is they say it's all but signed off on and done, except the task force has to do a background investigation on you before we can make it official. What do you think about the look that Howard gave them when they said they need to do a background investigation on you before we clear this? Because clearly they said we got to look into everything with you first.
Yeah.
Could this spark a rehash of Burke? Maybe the dad and Adina cleared off, but maybe this investigation sparks something completely different.
Yeah, they're going to find the same thing Burke was looking for, or they go back and find out his connections with Rock.
And Kanan.
So, yeah. And I think Captain Baptiste also kind of leaned at the idea of just like, yeah, you may think this is a good job, but it has this extra level of responsibilities and so on with it. So I think this is it, where you think the grass is green on the other side, because whatever you may be able to gain access to and whatnot. But I think, this may come to be problematic when he could have just stayed put and probably got cleared that way too.
Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for.
And they go against your whole background. It's a possibility, a lot of stuff that you've been hiding. Not only that, I mean, you've been sleeping with a hooker for the last 3 years.
Anything could come. Ain't no social media there, so they'll probably get swept under the rug. But
it'd be a number somewhere. Back in the 90s, niggas kept numbers. How else would you get a hooker? You got to keep a number somewhere.
Skid Row.
A phone log?
Oh, it's not really not. The red light district somewhere. Yeah. Where were they? Where were they at in New York?
Nah, she was like a call girl though. She wasn't like a hooker you pick up on the street.
Okay.
Like they had a set appointment.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Hey, niggas don't set appointments with Jones you can meet on the street. Like, no. I gotta set no appointment with you. I can go pick you up a Thursday at 9 o'clock. I'll be here to pick you up.
Lord.
She was comfortable in this house in this bed. You don't let hookers get comfortable.
Nah, you're right now.
He was talking to her. I don't pay you to talk. I pay you to leave. So it's a different meaning. It's a different connection with that one.
Yeah,
that's what Burke did, and that's how Burke found her. Is because Burke
that's
found out
true.
it was a different connection with her.
Yeah.
So if the task force leans into Howard, it's a lot of stuff they can pull about that he did not think about when he applied for that job. So again, it's just interesting to see exactly what angle this is going to go down to. Next up is the conversation between Kanan and Juke. We kind of hinted towards it, but now I'm just going to let you go. What did you think about? We talked about what Juke told him, which is you're just a little boy trying to impress your mother.
That's it.
And that's the most important part of it all. But what do you think? Just think about this one-on-one between them two. Because Kanan comes across very small in this conversation, not just because Juke said he's trying to impress Rock. When she bossed up on him, he did not go back. But also the conversation with him and Ronnie at the end of this, when Ronnie said, I'm gonna make sure I'm phrasing this right. Do you need me to have a talk with her? And Kanan said, my family is off limits. They ain't got nothing to do with our business together.
Yeah. Well, I think like in combat sports, you do all those press conferences and video montages and vignettes, and you talk about how you're gonna murder this dude and da 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 da. And then when you laid on your back on that ring, it ain't nothing you can say when they do that post-conference interview that's gonna ever justify who you truly were and is the entire time. So it's a lot of folks that talk a big game that think they are the next champ and so on. And they run in the tank and they get humbled real quick. And I think this is a situation, Ryan Garcia and a whole lot of other folks too, you know. But like, you know, Rolly, but like at this rate, like Kanan thinks he's the man because of the things that are happening around him drug related. He couldn't keep the girl. I don't know. Do you want to count the crystal thing? He lost his best friend. I mean, anybody that knows anything about longevity and actually like great human qualities, he's not really checking off any of those boxes, you know. And Juke, just making sure that the viewers know, just in case y'all forgot, that the whole arc of Kanan was fuck Rock. I don't need my mom. I'm gonna do it on my own. So now you think you got a little deal, you got a little picture going on here. You know, you got a few guys that's running muscles. You the man now, aren't you? It's like that person when they get that they get that new Charger and got that 26% interest, right? And they think they're the man because they doing burnouts and all this shit, right? Until that bill come in, that don't say $1,000 for a car that costs $16,000. And that interest rate looking wild.
It's a used Charger with 85,000 miles on it anyway.
And they get real humbled real quick because that bill tells you your interest ain't shit, my guy. So in one way or another, you pay this or we coming to get that. And I think Juke is the tax collector here. She comes in and makes it very clear. Don't forget, little man, you ain't shit. But no, somebody who's just trying to prove to their mom that they are a man. He had nothing to say but tuck his tail and let her go. He had no rebuttal because he knew what it was, and that's the truth. Anybody who's ever being told the truth,
your nose, like they're not even that far apart in age.
And that's how I be though. That's how I be though. You know that. You know that's a fact. And got humbled.
2 years apart,
nothing
maybe.
Nothing to say. Yeah, I think they are 2 years apart. Nothing to say, but understanding your truth is exactly what came out of our mouth. And you know what's been humbled like that too? Lou hit the bottle right afterwards. So this accountability that's being tossed at folks, whether they want to accept it or not, they're gonna have to come to humble terms that like this is who you are. And until Kanan can get over this idea of having to prove his mom that he's a man, he'll never get out of his own way. And that's just what it is. And Juke let him know. So I love that shit. One of my favorite scenes by Juke is letting Kanan know. Because as much as this is the Raising Kanan show, this shit has truly always been about Juke. Letting everybody know that Juke is that girl, man. Can't mess around with Juke. Which makes me hate her story arc as an adult. But
now,
whatever.
Again, then what do you think about Kanan? After Juke seemingly punks him, he quickly bosses up on Ronnie when Ronnie even brings up. But when I'm saying that he laid down a law to Ronnie like, hey, no, she's off limits. My family's off limits to you. Like that, any bit of trepidation he had in his conversation with Juke went away when Ronnie brought up her name. of him thinking to have a conversation with her. Like, I think that isn't the important part of Kanan here, because in the end, Juke was being truthful and he knows that. But he also knows no matter how mad I am at my family, I'm not letting you nowhere near them under no circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be an important thing to discuss later on, after Rock finds out and we see whatever Rock does because of the information she gets.
It's the same thing if you go back to Force with Jannard and Treason and them wanting to go after Diamond and Jannard don't want to go after Diamond, so they go after Jannard, and Jannard protects his brother, although he tried to kill his brother, but he couldn't, and he tried to fight his brother. His brother humbled him, so then he gets in protection mode of his brother. It's unless you've been in the situation, it's hard for you to understand why people retreat. But it's nothing more than the biggest dose of humble pie. When you are out of your league, you trying to arise to some occasion, or you trying to play in some type of nature, ballpark, or atmosphere, or some money bracket, things that you know you have no business in, and somebody that truly is about that life lets you know, and you instantly have to retreat back to your regular normal life in the realization that that's my brother, these are my finances, I'm not about that life, let me stay in my place.
Hey,
all that
you're not about that life until like you beat your older brother.
Then
you feel like Killmonger in Black Panther, because I'm the king now. I am the youngest, and I have lots of brothers, and the one that's closest to age to me used to whoop my ass for a long time. But that one time I whooped his ass, it completely changed. Like, our power dynamic changed. Nigga, you will never be able to beat me again.
Listen, I used to joke about this in college all the time. This is some of my favorite pastimes of the internet. Rest in peace to the great Kimbo Slice. Nothing is more funnier than people used to be on the internet talk about pull up on me Kimbo. They think they about to beat this dude, and then that white Hummer pull up, and he get right out that joint, and these dudes want to talk. He ain't got nothing but hands for them. They just sitting there busted open. He walk out. They don't never call his name ever again. That's how it be for some folks, keyboard gangsters and everything. You get humbled real quick by that life that you think you about. And then when it comes at you, like, oh, damn, man, shit ain't said nothing real fast.
Hey, I mean, that's why we're Big Old Belt. We're accepting of everybody, including people that call us civilians. You damn right now. I'm as much of a civilian as you need me to be. Okay? But please believe, I don't think you could have lived half of the life I've lived, but it's fine. I'm a civilian now. I'll take that.
I had to do some research on that. I was like, well, I know this is some type of slander of some sort, but but okay.
They were trying their little best. It was cute. I said, oh, look at this. Like, you using podcast lingo to describe people. It's cool though. Next up, we finally get to return this episode of Ronnie Myers, because he was not anywhere in this episode until this scene with Vanessa, and she's magically getting out her car with her groceries, and this nigga pops up out of nowhere and tells her, I just want to check after you because we family and we need to watch out because we still don't know what happened at the tailor shop, and that person is still on the loose. What did you think about? I want to say Vanessa's response to Ronnie here. Because at this point, she knows Ronnie is the reason that Unique is either dead or missing.
Yeah, absolutely accurate. Well portrayed in terms of actions and reactions here. She's a little bit slower to coming around to the pure realization or even stating it. But by Rock's conversation, by this, I mean, what more does she need at this point, though? So that's the last thing. She's still around. So I think there's definitely going to be something where she's involved with the demise of Ronnie, one way or another. Maybe she.
Hey, Rock told her from the beginning, like, be prepared.
Yeah, maybe she gives Rock the drop on Ronnie or something. She's gonna play a part.
She clearly trusts Rock more than she trusts Ronnie.
She got no choice now. Resources are low, and while she was sleeping with your baby father, we see it all the time, man. They be enemies one moment, and next thing at tables and somebody VIP at a table taking pictures together. I'm sure there's a few Drake songs about that.
Hey, we already know how women go. Hate each other the next one moment, the next minute y'all BFFs. You talk about my sis.
Get on get on my Snap with me real quick. Hit my IG story with me. Tag me, girl. This shit is. Nah, they don't want to hear the truth.
Oh. Hey, they're not ready for it. But
Drake got us though. Some song. He gonna land.
I don't support, as most Def said, I don't support that light skin energy. But I do understand what you're saying. Next up is another scene with it's no point to it. Lulu and his mom as she comes to visit because we know Rock funds ain't low. Rock just ain't giving her no money. And she goes to the person that she can get it from, and that's Lulu.
Yeah, and really quickly, it says again to the point of him saying it wasn't this that did this to my father. He's clearly blaming her. This literally solidifies it this time. But the mom, and it's sad that it's like this, but like this is abusive, man. Like you come in putting all this guilt and all this internal projecting all these internal things that you have about the father to him isn't right. And this is with the generational trauma gets created and it passes through generation after generation and it branches out to other siblings. I mean, it's this is how shit like this starts, man. And it's accurate to a T because these things happen. But like I hate this. I hate this for the Thomas's family and the mom coming in and doing all that, you know, counting his pockets like, oh. And God knows, everybody knows somebody that's like this. It's like, oh, you got a new car, so that means you're rich. Oh, you got a new house, so that means you're rich. Oh, you got a business, and this is all you can give me? Like, really?
Hey, she said, I heard from Marvin that you own half of this. But if you heard that from Marvin, you would know that Marvin invested the money for him to own half of it. But you ain't asking Marvin for no money.
And again, she comes in, and she's like reading the script because she says the same thing over again. Like, she comes in and says, I got bills to pay, not my fucking problem. But by the way, she makes it is your problem. And then not only accepts money from you, but then tries to beat you down about like your obsession for this is what, you know, did this to your father. Wait a minute. So you're asking me for money, but also criticizing the means of how I got the money? You can't have it both ways. It's I don't know, man. The mom is down bad.
For these type of family members, this is why, hey, you could give me a bill and I could pay it, but I'm not putting money in your pocket. Like, we're not going that far. I'm not putting no money in your pocket. You got bills to pay? Show it to me. Give me a bill. And we can have that. I've done that with family members. I'll pay a bill, not an issue. But I'm not giving you money.
Yeah, because that's the truth is you talking about bills, but is it? Or is it something else we need to know behind the scenes here?
Or you out here just collecting free money because if I can get it, I can get it. Because it's got to be a reason why you're not getting it from Marvin. Because Marvin is talking to you. Because that's the only reason you found out Lou had a business.
I don't think they've even mentioned that she ever got money from Marvin. It's always been Rock and Lou. Interesting.
Yep. Yep. So that is it. And Rock is done with it. Because Rock got a business. Like, it literally makes no sense to go to Lou. Rock bought a whole beauty supply store that she gave up because she didn't want to call a plumber. And yet, you going to Lou for money? Like, it makes no sense. But again, it's just the way they portraying Miss Thomas right now. And it's kind of the same equivalent of the way Kanan treats Famous. She's punching down on the easy one. She can't punch down on Marvin. Marvin's not going to pay her no attention. She definitely is not going to do it to Rock. But Lulu will, because Lou is a sensitive person. And she's using that to her advantage that he is that way. Yeah. But next up is Juke telling Rock everything. And she sits down at the table to let Rock know who Kanan's in business with. I love the point she said, and he's up here doing business with Bonnie and Clyde. And immediately Rock knew who the hell she was talking about. But also she tells Rock, Kanan is changing up. He's changing. This is not the person you know. What do you just think about this conversation between to me, it's almost like a mother-daughter conversation because that's the way Rock has always treated Juke.
Yeah,
we made sure when she got this information to go back to tell Rock everything so she knows what's going on with Kanan.
We haven't had this in a while, so it's good to get them two back to their roots with the mother-daughter relationship that they had and the trust that Juke has always had for her. Yeah. But what's interesting to me here is the reactions. As we're waiting to hear Pops and Snaps and Pop be brought up to Rock and what she would do, and she gave a very normal response, shall I say. But then when she said about Famous moving out, Rock kind of was like, what? Kind of like, what do you mean? So I feel like this is like, again, something more. It's hard. I didn't get the readings I was expecting. When Rock was brought up to Snaps and Pop, they definitely had a reaction. It's like, okay, there's definitely something there when they were brought up twice. Now, on the contrary here, it's like Rock doesn't really have that same type of energy towards them. So I don't know if it's just underplayed at the moment, if her focus is truly only Kanan. I'm waiting to see more of that sort of development between the two parties involved. But then again, like I said, if you really look into the reactions here, when you mentioned that Kanan Famous is moving out of the apartment,
it was way a bigger response by her.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just kind of interested now. And again, I think if I had to like place my bet on something, I think it's because she still is prioritizing Kanan, not the drug business. Maybe she looks at Famous because that was his apartment. So he's like, what do you mean that he's moving out? Whereas I guess you would say, if he's moving out, where the hell is Kanan going? And say he didn't realize that that Famous got kicked out of his own place.
I think it's more of Famous is kind of like, to her, possibly a tether for Kanan. Like, she actually believes in a way, like, as long as Famous is around, I can always reach Kanan. If Famous is not around, I can't do that anymore.
That's true.
And that's a problem for her because it's a control thing. Because she didn't even blink when Juke told her he was working. That Kanan was working with Ronnie. Because that's the first name she brought up is he's running around with Unique's brother. And then she said Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
And then she said Famous, and that was Rock's big thing. Like, what? Well, then where's Famous at? Or she could just be looking at Famous like, that's someone else that she's close to. And like, if he's not there, what the hell is going on here then? What type of operation are they running out that apartment that I need to know more about now?
Yeah.
So I think that was an interesting conversation between them two, because I didn't think we would get the mentioning of them to Rock at this episode.
Yeah, Rock's gonna pull up to that apartment too, and that's gonna be interesting.
That's going to be the conversation between her and Ronnie. Because clearly Ronnie loves sitting in there.
I want to see Rock pull up with Marvin to the apartment.
Oh,
that's what I want to see.
Different ball game. Yeah. That's going to be
listen, I know everybody praising Ronnie and his sinister acts and me being one, but let's make it very clear that the most dangerous man on this show is by all means Marvin. This dude gives because he has a strategy with his stuff. He's not just dumb. I mean, Ronnie will make a mistake and it will be detrimental. Marvin has been much more cleaner about his moves, strategical with his. When you got a wheelchair guy out here running moves with him, you gotta be a special type of person to be running duos with somebody like that out here on murder missions.
We be honest about it. Ronnie's like 5 punches away from not being on this show no more. like in all honesty, Unique beat him senseless. Unique just pulled back because it was his brother. That's the only reason Ronnie's still here.
Yeah,
but Marvin, on the other hand, we ain't never seen Marvin lose anything. Marvin has been a killer from the beginning of this show up until now, and he'll do it in a heartbeat if it's necessary. And if he sees a threat to his sister, to his nephew, or if he found out the way that dude looks at Juke, he would kill him in a heartbeat. Wouldn't he be a question?
Oh my God, I ain't think of that. Oh yeah, let Ronnie do anything to Juke. It's a wrap. Zero questions asked. Yeah.
Yes.
I think next week we'll take our predictions on what's going to be Ronnie's exit to the
demise.
show. Yeah. Demise for sure. Yeah.
I'm taking Julliana's cousin because he finds out that's gonna be it for both of them too.
Hey,
But
listen, I even go as far as saying, what's his name? The Italian Mafia. I wouldn't be mad at seeing
Stefano,
something.
yeah.
Stefano, I wouldn't be mad at seeing something wild like that. But we'll see.
Or we can still keep hope alive. Maybe it's unique. You never know.
Yeah.
The body still ain't been found yet. You never know what could possibly happen. But let's close out these last two things of this episode. Nothing important here. This is Kanan and Crystal, because Crystal's a fast little girl who just wants to sleep with Kanan to fuck with Juke. It literally has nothing to do with him. It's everything to do with messing with Juke. But the last part is Marvin and Lou going to visit Scrap's mom. And I just first want to talk about their conversation in the car. Again, Lou saying, I don't know anything about this. And Marvin looking at the bottle and saying, this is why. Like, what you're doing is the reason why you're acting the way you're acting. I thought this was an interesting thing for Marvin to say, because it's coming from an addict to someone else who's another addict. Because Marvin clearly is still recovering, but he's still an addict no matter what. You're never not an addict once you're in recovery. But he sees all the issues with Lou. And he brings that up to the forefront, and you just look at Lou's face as he's still drinking and saying, this is not a problem. This is a symptom of the problem.
Yeah. It's talk about the disease. Yeah. He said, you the disease, nigga. Not the symptom of something, you the disease. So yeah. I mean, we talked about it, so it's not too much to go to really further talk about. Is that like it's a measure of accountability here, and it's coming from somebody who knows it, as you mentioned, as brother, somebody you could trust. And will this finally be the situation that prides him off the bottle, so he can kind of get his life back together, get back to the music, get back to being productive, get back to remembering things? This is going to probably used to be numb for the killing he did, but will this also come back on him? Because clearly it's going to be sort of easy to connect these dots, considering that she just came back to the station.
But she told Howard.
Howard,
but nobody.
It goes back to Howard. Now the question is, what does Howard do at this point? So
because now that she's dead, as we see Lou having a back,
they're going to want to know what does she want to talk about?
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like the point that he was almost in tears saying, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to shoot her in her head because he has no choice. And then the pull off, which again is important in Power, as he's pulling off and he again sees Scrap's ghost to let you know that guilt is still with him. And this just made it worse as they're driving off here. So what did you think about just the closing of this episode? And what's the repercussions we're going to see with Lou moving forward? Because this is not something he's just going to shake off. But the problem is, if he keeps on drinking, he's going to continue to be a problem. Because he's going to end up telling the wrong person what's happened, what he's done.
Yeah, he's going to have to go to rehab or something. I'm sure everybody in the comments are going to be eating up 50 Cent's narration about him not believing in ghosts. And I'm sure y'all going to take that in terms of ghost confirmed to return or something, or ghost sighting, or I don't know. Y'all going to make something up about it, but it's interesting to see how this plays out. I think Marvin's going to be a big catalyst in terms of getting Lou straight and narrow now here. Even though he killed her and she kind of took it like a G, and he basically, I'm sorry, and he looked sad and so on. He looks more confident that he did here than he did with Scrap, because Scrap, he definitely was just, I'm not with Scrap. Who did he have to kill? Scrap. I'm scribbling. Yeah, so like I just think like, this one he kind of felt like I had to do this. I felt like Scrap was because Rock made him. Either way, I think he's just gonna have to evaluate accountability for his actions, and I think Marvin's gonna be a big catalyst to do so. So Marvin's gonna be using his abilities taught by Renee in order to get himself back on the right path.
Deeper into the bottom, deeper into the hole.
Maybe, but I mean, I still think that Marvin and them going to pay close attention to him because they understand he's a liability with this. He said, listen, you can kill yourself, but you ain't gonna kill all of us. And I think that's like the situation here is that they got to keep him close. Otherwise he will mess everything up for everybody.
Or How long do you allow a threat to hang out there before you just eliminate the threat?
Right.
And Rock is calculated for a reason. Rock is calculated for a reason.
But yeah, I mean, and I mean, like, you know, dude, that's what I'm saying. Howard and Rock Howard will have a decision next episode. Rock will have a bigger decision by the end of the season.
Because you got kind of the perfect person to put everything on if you do it right.
Yeah,
everything.
Main reason, Crown, the business, music. I mean, it fits the mode.
Everything connects back to Lulu.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But what are your final thoughts on episode 7? We're all are guilty.
It's good, man. It's good. It's a good start to the beginning to the end of the season in terms of the arc. You know, again, with the likes of Sascha directing this episode and knowing what's to come and his involvement with these other episodes. It's a good start. So I enjoyed this episode. We gave this a good hour and 40 minutes of talk time. So I'll leave it at that, man. Good. And we'll,
this is more setup than anything else. By episode 8, just expect it to be probably more explosive because this is a lot of setup. And it's a lot of setup for a reason. So we'll be back for episode 8. Like, subscribe, comment, even on stuff that you don't like us about for some odd reason. We're perfectly fine with that. Comment, let us know what you think. You can check out as this episode will drop Friday at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, thank you for tuning in. Peace, people.
See y'all.